Down here, the bottom right-hand corner of ESC Ohana, we have our red Zerg player from the team FXO CIS. It is Slavik. And his opponent here in the upper left-hand corner, our blue Protoss player from NSHoSeo. It is San.
Yeah, Happy Zerg is a very, very good European Zerg player, and he's certainly capable of beating someone like San. It's just, is he going to have the confidence and execution in order to get it done? I think his build order will depend a lot on if he's really feeling like he can take it down, because he's really going to have to try something specifically tailored for what San's style of play is. But if he can execute something that's against San's style of play, I think he can actually do really well.
I think this is a really cool map for PvZ. In addition, you know, Slavik certainly has a lot of room in the middle of the map that he can navigate for Zergling, you know, flanks, counterattacks, that sort of a thing. But this is pretty cool for Protoss players as well. This is a Shakura-style ramp here up at the front, very easy to wall off with just a couple of structures, and you can actually full wall that off, keep yourself defensive, go through the destructible rocks, and take a third base behind a couple of Immortals and a handful of Sentries.
Yeah, a big key on this map is usually when Zergs delay the Protoss third. I actually saw a game earlier today where it was almost Zergs suiciding their army to keep canceling the Protoss third while the Zerg was on 3 base in order to keep them on 2 base. And usually when you get in a situation where Protoss is fighting 2 bases versus 3 and they're trying to take the third again and again and again, and Zerg just keep holding it, especially on this map, it's actually pretty difficult even though they're connected, because they are kind of, it's pretty open. You can get a lot of Zerg units in there. You can't close off that ramp with just a few force fields. They can get in there with a lot of units at once.
And especially if you open up the destructible rocks off to the right, because whereas this is a 1 force field ramp, all of a sudden you have to watch 2 enormous openings, and it's just very difficult to watch both of those. 15 forge out of San into an expansion on 17. Nothing out of the ordinary for him. Back on Slavik's side of things. Pool coming up first, of course. Looks like San has already started to block this, as this is a little more conventional opening than we saw with San versus Lowly, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd say that Slavik's a little thrown off. He should have probably just tried to put down a third immediately rather than try to wait to do this, especially when he knew it was a Forge Fast Expand with such an early Nexus. And now he's going to be pretty far behind as far as his, the Nexus is going to be half done before he even starts his hatchery.
That's right. And tries to catch the probe there, but ends up wasting a few seconds of his hatchery build time. But not the worst thing in the world. He will be able to dispatch of that pylon, put down his hatchery here in a second, and also get out there and start his third momentarily. So back on San's side of things, double gas following this up. He's going ahead and not full walling, in fact keeping a little gap here in the wall where he can place a Zealot Photon Cannon up for defense as well, but everything looking pretty normal PvZ.
Yeah, Slavik being pretty smart, going to get his third hatch. He needs to break down those rocks though, because not bringing those down leaves you really, really vulnerable to Protoss, either 1 base or 2 base timings. Obviously it's 2 base now. He really needs to break those down so that Warp Prism doesn't hurt him, so that anything like Phoenixes don't hurt him too, because it's harder to go in between. That's actually really important, and I would like to see him start to do that soon.
So, let's see here what both these players are going to go with. A good Overlord position for Slavik, as he's able to keep that there. He'll be able to get a good read on if 3rd and 4th gas come up around the anywhere from about the 550 to 630 mark. And otherwise, all quiet on the Western Front. We'll see how aggressively Slavik wants to go down that heavy roach style, if he's going to play a little bit less explicit roaches like we've seen out of a lot of Zerg players, and decide to go down the little bit higher tech route into Infestors quicker.
It seems like the Zergs, all the Zergs today have basically gone from Lings to Infestors very, very quickly. I don't necessarily know if that's Happy Zerg style, but I don't think it would be bad against San's style. San, he hasn't put on a whole lot of pressure other than that Warp Prism game. That was the issue. But apart from that, he's been content to just kind of sit back and play his timings well. And I think if you can get comfortably up to Infestors, you'll actually have a pretty good advantage against San, especially on this map when you have a really, really open third that you can delay for quite a while.
It's kind of crazy building positioning out of San if you look at it. It's actually a complete wall from here all the way up to the Nexus, so it makes a little pocket where Zerglings have to run through or force themselves up and around the side, but they won't be able to just duck straight through into the main, so kind of clever.
Yeah, that limits the ability to do run-bys later in the game when you can either put like 3 Zealots in between the pylons and the Nexus, or just like 1 or 2 force fields, and that prevents the run-bys completely. It's very, very smart.
And Slavik has gone up to a Roach Horn. We'll probably see that Evolution Chamber and a Lair here in just a bit. Deciding to spend 100 gas, though, on Zergling speed, and not something you see a lot if you're just going for that super fast max Roach styles. You usually have that Lair started by now and going up to that Evolution Chamber, like I said before. As it stands, though, San does have 3rd and 4th gas coming up. He went for 4-gate and a Robo. That Warp Prism's still going to be the order of the day as he'll try and drop him for sentries.
Yeah, I actually like how Slavik did this because the fact he got a Roach Horn now means he's pretty safe against this. I had a feeling, like, right as he was going Lair, I'm like, all right, he's going to go Lair. It's very smart. And he has Roach Horn. He should be very safe as long as he produces units before the Warp Prism gets there, because he really doesn't have enough to fight this off. He's done this a little greedily. You just saw he had 11 drones that finished at the same time, and he really needs to make 4 or 5 roaches would be enough to... Okay, wow, right there. 5 roaches. So if he manages to get those over in time, he'll be okay, but he's going to have to be really, really careful to not lose a lot of workers here because he had set this game up really well. All
right, well, 8 roaches in total are going to be popping out soon. Not the world's best force field. It does trap one drone, but unfortunately isn't able to trap the queen kind of like he wanted. A lot of Zealots being warped in, though, and +1 attacks is finished. This hatchery is actually falling pretty quickly.
What did I say about the rocks? He has to run his roaches all the way around now because he can't get through because of the Warp Prism. And now that this died, he can just pick up and go over, and the roaches have to chase all the way back around.
And he can just go straight into the main if he wants to. No, he's going to, unfortunately, would taken too much damage from the queens there, so these Zealots are eventually going to die. They may be able to take a roach or two with them, and certainly...
Good Warp Prism micro.
Yeah, that's pretty insane, actually. He's starting to warp in a few more units. He wants to take this head-on right now. These roaches are slowly being whittled down. These Zealots, with the +1 attacks, proving to be very, very strong.
And look at the follow-up by San. He's warping in sentries and immortals in his main. And Slavik, while he is up to Lair Tech, he's just now building a Spire. He's stuck on Roach Ling. The follow-up to this is going to be devastating because they're both on 2 base, and Slavik does not have any Roach upgrades at all.
And Slavik's actually going after Spire Tech now, as we can see. So these Zealots have to get away right now. They're on even speed with the Roaches for another 15 seconds, at which point the Roaches will catch up and eliminate them.
Yeah,
so
there's no way this is for Mutalisk, so this has to be for Corruptor, but there are no Colossus coming. This is a pure in-your-face Immortal Sentry push, and
it is.
As it stands right now, Slavik does not have enough to hold this off. He needs to make a lot of units really quickly, and a lot of them, there it is, Lings. He has to have Lings, because there are no way he'll get Roaches in there to try to build kill the Immortals when, what is it, 11 sentries right now?
Yeah, something like that. Let me see here.
10, yeah. So this is, he needs Lings really quickly, and he really needed to break down the rocks. He finally is doing it now.
San also needs that Immortal that he's got sitting over at the Zelnaga Tower. It may not matter, though. We'll find out as he drops down a couple of force fields to zone some units out. Doesn't trap all that much, though, in fact.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, he does get the Zerglings behind, though, and he's able to pick those off. The front line, though, was a little bit interesting. Yeah.
We need more Lings. He's floating 1,000 minerals, and he has the supply. He needs to build more right now, or he is going to lose everything.
No larvae at all, unfortunately. I think he was waiting to put some air units out there, but it's just not going to be enough. And San, even without the use of this Immortal and Sentry, is still going to be able to overrun what's up at the front. San may be on the verge of getting 4 kills in a row. There it is. NSHoSeo is going to send FXO CIS to the lower bracket. They themselves will advance into winners round 3.
Perfectly executed game by San.